Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome. It's season 4, and we are in episode 2 already. We're so excited to be back. Thank you for joining us. This is Emerge Detour Essentials Live, and it is so great to be with you guys again. I am Kathy Goodall. I am a part of the Emerge Trio. I am a connector of brands, businesses, and people, and I am a leadership and growth coach. And I'm so excited to be here with you today.
Hi guys, I'm Naomi Garrick, a member of the Emerge Trio, and I am also a PR consultant and personal branding coach, and I help individuals to get clarity on who they are, understand their unique value in order to communicate that to their ideal audience to stand out in a noisy world.
Hi. My name is Rochelle Cameron. I'm an attorney at law, and I wear the sash Miss Prescient Consulting Services. Good evening, everyone. Welcome.
Thank you, Roshi.
Kat, do you know we have to just remind our guests this week who didn't join us last week that we have a brand spanking new sponsor, Sagicor Makeup. So Emerge Detour Essentials Live is now brought to you by Sagicor. How awesome is that?
Yes. We are so grateful for them, and we know they're going to be amazing partners. They're doing so many wonderful things. And we're so happy to be a part of the Sagicor family now. So for those of you that are joining us for the first time, welcome. We are here every single Wednesday at 8 o'clock. You can catch us on our YouTube. You can catch us on our Facebook. You can follow us for updates on all of our platforms at Ready to Emerge. So don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Stop right now and go and tell your friends to come, because tonight's show is going to be one for the books. So for those of you that don't know, this month is Mental Health Awareness Month, and the color for mental health awareness is green, which is why we're all clad in green tonight. But seriously, guys, 2020 has definitely helped us to understand the importance of mental wellness and our mental health. And so we thought it was very important for us to take some time to do a deep dive into mental health. How do we know when something is wrong? How do we know when we need to find help? And so we have two really special guests tonight. One who is no stranger to most, because she is Naomi's PR sister. And of course, we have an expert in the field. So I'm going to hand over to Roshi for her to introduce our first guest.
So, ladies and gentlemen, our first guest is a woman of many hats. She is the CEO of DRT Communications, one of our premier marketing and PR communications companies. She's also a recipient of Angel Fund Investment, which means that she was able to put forward an amazing.
The first.
She was the very first. But this lady is, I say, really is someone who wears many hats. So some of you know her in that DRT hat, and you may have seen some of her work, KFC, big deal. That's the lady. And you may be wondering to yourself, but what is she here for today with mental health? Does she want to say eat fried chicken so that your mental health will improve? Well, she is also a certified life coach. And what Danielle has been doing is sharing through her own experiences, through fitness, through her mental well-being. She has been sharing with audiences so that what she's done is managed various hats. And tonight you may be saying to yourself, but this lady, I've seen Danielle, I've seen some of her videos, I follow her. Honestly, everything is all right with her. So tonight she's going to take us on her journey, because what tonight is about is for us all to understand that we are in this together. It's not just some people. This mental awareness month is for all of us. So ladies and gentlemen, In fact, don't just give us a round of applause. Run around the living room, make up noise because this needs. Welcome, Danielle Terrelonge.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that introduction. Thank you to the Emerge team for having me. And you know what? Thank you for all of the guests, the followers who are watching tonight. I tell you good evening. I give you blessings. Thank you for having me, and thank you for spending time with me.
Yay! We're happy to have you here, Danielle. I see
Thank you.
our favorite doctor, Chrisanne Simpson-Hart, is in the house. Hi,
She
Doc.
is one of my favorites.
We love her. We need to have Chrisanne on the show, actually.
Yes.
Yes. The products are amazing too.
So just stick a pin in that, Chrisanne. We're gonna call you about that. But Dan,
Danielle just sounded like she had a radio voice a while ago. I'm like, wait.
I heard it too. So maybe that's one of the talents that we need to talk about.
Actually, one of my best friends calls it my coaching voice. So he'll say to me, "Okay, can I not have the coaching voice today, please?"
We love the coaching voice. We have many voices over here in this trio. So
I mean, I can just rock it down to, I mean, I can go any which way you want me to go.
So as you heard in the intro, Catherine introduced Danielle as my PR sister, but we actually call ourselves our PR besties, right?
We are.
We started off a year apart in the industry, and Danielle has been someone that has really encouraged and motivated me throughout my entire PR journey. So it's really amazing to, after how many years, Dan? 12, 13 years?
14, yeah.
All the things that have been happening, and to see where we both are right now. And so people may see you on this dynamic journey as a pioneer in marketing and communications. And now you're just doing so many different things. We're living well by Danielle. So what I want you to do is just to share with our audience a little bit about your journey to this point.
To this point, well, the journey is long. I think we're at about chapter 113. My friend calls it my trilogy, because clearly the book has to be in, segments or something. But, my journey, I grew up with an entrepreneur, and my dad affected my life. I realized very late in life that, the reason I am is because that was the environment that I grew up in. That's what I came to know. In my 20s, just to kind of, I worked with JMB for a while. I worked with True Juice for a while. Just had amazing bosses, amazing leadership, and then went into this world of entrepreneurship, wanting to develop a more proactive approach to PR. And took a big leap in 2008. And if anybody remembers what happened in 2008, the entire world went crashing. And I felt like, what a horrible time to become an entrepreneur. My sister, who I'm hoping has joined us, said to me at that time, Danielle, if you can make it through this, you can make it through anything. I come to, at the end of that story, her telling me reminding myself of her words earlier this year, and late last year. And, over the years, however, I had a lot of weight on me. I was 222 pounds at 5'1" and a little bit. And I carried this weight. And with that, I carried self-esteem issues, etc. But I was powerful in my work. I had my confidence in my work, but constantly, of course, struggled with my weight. A couple of years ago, I started getting very sick. I would eat and faint. I was maxing out at 11 o'clock. And now, in our field, you can't, we're out till, well, not anymore, but
yes.
10, 11 o'clock at night. We have to be on. We have to be on for our clients. And I just wasn't doing well. I gave up on my weight. I was in the gym and I was gaining weight. So much was happening in my body. And I actually gave up. I said, boy, you know what? Somebody doesn't have to love me fat, because we can't bother no more. Somebody's going to love me fat and smart, because I can't figure this out. And I gave up on that process. But I was still quite sick. I did a number of tests. I went to Alfred Dawes, who is a bariatric surgeon here in Jamaica, just kind of exploring the world of bariatric surgery, not making a commitment. And Dr. Dawes said to me, to be really honest with you, we have a long way to go to see if we can even get you into bariatric surgery, because we need to know what's wrong with your body. And on that journey, we will discover what's wrong and then make a decision. During those tests, we did find out that I had type 2 diabetes. And I will tell you, in the bedroom that's right behind me, when I got those results, I I lay on that bed and I cried. I mean, when I say cry, I mean some bawling. I bawled. And I didn't cry because of the diagnosis. I cried because I saw every decision that I had made for myself. I saw every bit of sadness that I had. I saw every bit of chocolate cake that I had eaten. By the way, I don't bash chocolate cake. I saw every decision that I made that did not serve me. My therapist now talks about what are you doing in service of your values? And I had done so much and I cried for that person, the person that everybody saw as strong and powerful and vibes. And, you know, a lot of people think I drink alcohol. No, I don't. I'm just actually very animated a lot, right? I don't even drink wine.
I can vouch for that.
Right? So, but underneath all of that, I mean, I can tell you openly, there were days my girlfriend Raquel would hear me say, but Naomi's so tall and beautiful and her smile and she's so skinny and she, you know, she's going to get a further ahead than me because I was so insecure beside this amazingly beautiful woman that was, you know, my PR bestie. And I would feel so insecure standing beside her. We looked like Ren and Stimpy. I felt so insecure. But we both had this amazing, powerful synergy and we were constantly encouraging each other and it made for a great friendship. But physically, you know, and I cried on that bed. And then I got up and I looked in the mirror. I only wish I could carry my computer to walk you through it. I looked in the mirror and I said, enough. This is it. I said, Terrelonge, this is it. I called Dr. Dawes and I said, we're going full steam ahead. So I did do bariatric surgery at that time. And I tell people all the time, bariatric surgery, one of the most amazing decisions I've ever made. My insurance company covered that. We didn't even have to argue about it. My results were so bad that there was no contest about this, right? From a health perspective. And then I went and did it. But then I say this all the time. The day I changed my mindset is the day I changed my life. And that's what it was. Bariatric surgery was a tool. It took work, it took exercise, it took, you know, not quite sure what to eat anymore, learning it, figuring it out. And about 9 months ago, I was actually with my coach and I said, I want to help more people. I don't want to just tell my story. I want to help people. I think I want to be a coach. She was in my living room and she said, thank God. God, Keisha, if you're watching, I just remember, she said, thank God, you know, coaches aren't supposed to tell you what to do. So she's like, I've been waiting for you to come to this point. Hey, Keisha, I see you. You know, she's just like, I couldn't wait for this to come out of you, for this to birth out of you. And I was like, but I don't know how to become a coach. And she goes, hello. And I'm like, so within weeks, I was like, let's take action. And I signed up with IPEC and I became a trained coach during that time. And just the opportunity to help people. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a physical trainer. I'm here to help people change their mindset around around their health, whether that be their mind, body, and spirit. I've worked with some amazing clients over the past 9 months. It's been tremendous. And that is the part of the great part of the journey that has gotten me here. So that's it in a quick nutshell.
Danielle, I remember I saw you, I was at an event and one cute girl did come over to me and talk to me like she knew me. So I said, hey. So I said, down in the conversation, she must identify herself or make a figure out who this is. So she go and talk, and then I said, she could have looked like Danielle, you know. I wonder if you related to Danielle. And like way down, I was like, Danielle, Terrelonge.
Sure. Because that was the difference.
Danielle.
So I talk about 222 pounds at my highest and then went down to 126. And what that brought about, Rush, was a lot of people going, who are you? I mean, I've had a lot of meetings with people saying, hi, I'm Richard. And I'm like, seriously though? Like we've known each other for 22 years, like for real? But then I remember, and of course I make fun of it. One of my biggest desires is to see my sister. I haven't seen my sister since I've lost the weight. I mean, of course you've seen pictures, but you know, a lot of people, Rush, had that experience, and I can tell you what that brings about. There's a level of confidence that, of course, comes with it. But I spoke before about the energy. My energy came back. My desire to date. You know, I told you I gave up. I'm like, somebody have to love me fat and smart. You know, my desire to date, and my desire to be more out there, my confidence to deliver in moments like this, and the opportunity to help people. It is just it literally fills me, you know. And the truth of the matter is, how I started to show up at work, my team started to notice. Hey, DRT team, if anybody is watching, you know, my team, and I was there to be there for my team. DRT takes 150% of my life. Well, by Danielle is about this small, right? I'm only allowed 3 clients, and I have very strict measures because DRT takes so much. And my passion and my joy for DRT came back because I wasn't tired anymore, right? And all it came back for me. And then 2028.
So, Danielle, I mean, on paper, we heard Rochelle give your resume. Your bio was overwhelming, right? And Naomi talked about all the things that you're doing. So, on paper and what people see publicly, obviously, everybody thinks that you have it all together.
Absolutely.
So, how does somebody that has it all together, has all these amazing clients, lives this glamorous life based on what people see, high functioning, right? Experience anxiety and depression? Like, how is that even possible?
Yeah, so it's possible because there's so many among us, and that's why I'm happy to be here tonight, because I decided I wanted to talk about it because there's so many people living with anxiety and depression. There's so many people that it has become a norm for, because it started to become a norm for me. And that's where I'll go into my most vulnerable conversation publicly. You know, I have friends who are literally praying right now, calling down the Holy Spirit, you know, Danielle, is this the right move, right? But my move is always to serve. My move is always, God, give me the words to come out of my mouth that will serve other people. So the same way I wanted to share my weight loss journey, I'm here to talk to you about anxiety and depression. I've lived with anxiety and depression certainly anxiety for many, many years. You run a business, you're managing team members, you're running payroll. Naomi know it good. Sometimes, I mean, I remember one time Naomi and I were so broke. We were on a project and we didn't get a discount, but Naomi got an insurance payout. And she didn't, by the time she finished the phone call, I'll never forget, I think it was $72,000. And she said, Danielle, I gone. I'm in the middle of a meeting in my living room. And she said, Danielle, I gone. And she said, by the way, I given you 18,000. And I felt like I had won the lotto because I'm working on a $5 million project, right? The stresses of that.
I did not fix the car.
And by the way, for those who don't know, next time you see Naomi on the road in our car, every time I see her on the road, I laugh because me and Naomi had the most broke down car. Like two pretty girls couldn't drive. These two broke down. I mean, when I tell you now, but we were good at what we did, and we'd get there. And every time I see her in our car, I'm like, that's my girl right there, right? Because I know. But when she had to drive her, I had to drive to whatever event we were partnering on. So
that's how we became friends, Danielle.
Yeah,
I think my car could have possibly been repossessed at the time. I don't know. Maybe it was not working or repossessed, one of the two. And Danielle and I had an event to go to, and Danielle took me. And that's
exactly you're right. That's how we did it. And that's how we got closer. You know, we knew we were in the business and we did stuff, but that's how we got close. And it's not the forum for it, but Naomi and I talk a lot of time. I did it yesterday in a meeting. We don't talk about competition. We talk about collaboration. And I said, we could go down a whole road on that. But, you know, I've dealt with anxiety for a long time. I've prayed through it. I've wondered, what is wrong with me? I've gone to my pastor about it. I've wondered, what is this thing? And for years and years. And of course, like all of us have gone through sadness and moments of sadness. I do notice that there's a cycle. Like, you know, every time around November, December, well, in my industry, I found out that's pretty normal because you're hitting burnout from the whole year. Mm-hmm. This last year, however, like so many of us, it was the toughest year. I mean, it was really, really, really tough, right? My house got broken into while I was here. I had a very traumatic breakup, terrible breakup. I was anemic. Dr. Dawn said to me, if he had to do emergency surgery on me, he would not be able to. My anemia was so bad. I was tired and I was stressed out. There's COVID health. I'm worried about 26 team members keeping this business together. Clients are cutting contracts. Some are saving the day. There is so much happening. My daughter is 10,000 miles away from me. Every time she sneezed, she had to do a COVID test. You know, money was a big thing. Money personally, money in the business. So much happened. By the time I got to October, I knew something was wrong. And I'm like, but I'm Danielle. I'm well by Danielle. I can green juice my way through this. I can, a Xanax here and there. I can do this. I can exercise my way through it. I can, go with Stokely and box my way through this. But it just kept getting worse. It kept getting worse. I found myself, I was crying. My energy was low again. What's going on? Am I not eating properly? Is my sugar? I went back to diet. The whole thing. I had no focus. It was a fight. But you can't fall apart because you're a leader. You have 26 team members to figure it out for. You have a child to figure it out for. You have a family, you have a dad. This kind of thing. Business, clients. I had to show up. You guys know what it is. You have to show up no matter what. I'm a team lead. I had other team leads in my company, but there were days I could not get up. Thankfully, when this all came, when it got really bad in December, I'd already scheduled vacation. So a lot of people certainly in my company didn't quite know what was happening. My best friends certainly knew. They lived through the tears with me. Guys, on January 1, I could not get out of my bed. My sister from Vancouver had to call me. She had to walk me through making a sandwich. It took me 45 minutes to get that sandwich down my throat. She then said, lay down. I'll call you in an hour. She walked me out my door. This is 10,000 miles away to get me to just go walk, to leave the house, to get moving. I was on medication at that point, and I'll just jump back a couple of weeks. My therapist and I decided that I needed to go on medication. And I had so much drama around it. I had shame around it. I can do this. What is going on? I can make this happen. I can raise my endorphins. I can do it all. Some more pak choy. Let's do this. No, it wasn't. So I went on medication. And for me, I just want anybody who's listening, there's no shame in that game either. And then I reacted badly to the medication. So now I have my doctor, my bariatric surgeon, my pharmacist trying to figure out why is my body not absorbing this? I'm now dehydrated, there's a kidney infection. For the love of God. On January 1, it was horrible, as I said. And my sister actually called my dad and said, listen, I know you and Danielle in some fight as per usual, but we need to do an intervention, right? Because my dad and I, up and down, we need to do something. And my dad actually, when I went on that walk, he came out and met me. And he just walked with me and talked with me. And he said, Danielle, I know where you are and I understand it, but I want you to know you've been here before and you'll get through it again. And every day that I have felt like I could not make it, I remember my dad's words, and I remember my sister saying to me in 2008, if you can make it through this, you'll make it through anything, right? But it was still rough. It was still rough. On January the 5th, I remembered just in the darkness of my bedroom, I'm now scheduled to go back to work, right? How am I going to make it? How am I going to show up for my team? And I remembered having a conversation many years before, and in passing, this very powerful leader, one of the wealthiest people in our country, one of the most powerful men in our country, mentioned anxiety and depression to me. It's not somebody that I know, but I had his number and I messaged him and I said, can I have 10 minutes of your time? And he called me and I told him, I said, I don't know what to do. The medication is not working. And he said, can you meet me at my house at 1 o'clock? And one of the reasons I'm here today is because I want to pay it forward. Because this man who sits on 17 boards and all of this stuff took his time to be with me. He walked me through how to do meditation. He walked me through the fact that he did 5 different types of medication before he figured it out. And he says, I don't know if this is forever. He had to fly away sometimes for weeks on end because he just couldn't deal. He couldn't get up. He couldn't stop the crying. He couldn't stop the feeling of dread that everything was falling apart. And he said to me, Danielle, I know you think your business will fall apart, but I want you to know it's not, and we won't let it. So I'm here to say to everybody who may be feeling this, it's not going to fall apart, even though it may feel like it. I had estranged from some of my friends, but thank God for the core group at that point. I got a gift basket at Christmas with notes of encouragement that, Danielle, you are going to dare greatly in 2021. Even though I didn't feel it, I still held on to those notes like, nothing. And it just felt like it wasn't getting better. It felt like it was getting darker. And of course, as I said, the medication isn't working. On January 21, God just shows up in January 20th, God shows up in the most beautiful ways. I mean, the testimony of this for me, I can't express it because it's so personal. You'll never get it. But out of the blue, a friend said to me, "Hey, we got a cancellation at our villa. It's already paid for because it's last minute. Why don't you go down?" I was out the house in 2 hours. And I went and I sat for the whole weekend. There was something on my heart to read about healing. There was something, a healing, whether it be the mind, the body, the spirit. Read. And I did. And on the Saturday, I jumped up. Now, I can't tell this whole story because this is PG-13, and it's kind of weird because I was also in prayer. But I just got up and I said, no more. And I texted my girlfriends, and I had a good friend who was in my life during that time. I texted them and I said, I declare that by January 30th, I will be healed from this. Whatever it takes. Is it medication? Is it green juice? Is it all of the above? Is it therapy? Whatever it costs, whatever it takes. I declare that the next few days, we're going to figure it all out. And by January 30th, there is going to be a rebirth here. And I'm not saying that from a purely spiritual perspective. It was a get up and freaking fight, because I didn't want to lie down anymore. I wanted to go back to that Danielle that was showing up for her team. I wanted to be the mom. I wanted to be the sister. I wanted to turn it back and support my sister. I felt selfish. I was like, I just kept reaching out to people like, I need help. I need help. I wanted to be able to do that for my friends again. I wanted to sit in a client meeting with my team and back them and have them and the creativity back again. And I said, I declare on January 30th, this is done. This is done. Whatever, we're changing the medication, we're doing everything. I got everybody together that week. I said, we're changing this story. And we've been on the uphill since then. And I had to talk about now what it's like to be on the other side.
Congratulations, Danielle. That's amazing.
Wow, Dan.
So you talked about the importance of sharing your story for other people. What is it that you want other people to take away from you having shared with us tonight?
I think I want to most importantly say that there's no shame. There's really no shame. Just as, my sister said to me, I remember when I went to go to get the medication and I was like, oh my God, Raquel, one of my best friends, I was like, oh my God, she got medication. And she said, Danielle, drop the drama. And I was like, yeah, oh, you have to have a friend like that. You have
I can hear her saying it.
By the way, she's like, anyway, just drop the drama. I'm sitting in the doctor's office waiting on him and I'm still not sure about this. She goes, drop the drama. Right. This is my same friend, by the way, if I'm ever feeling down. She goes, all right, it's 6:00. So what time is this pity party going to be done? Because we can have it. We can have it. But when is it going to, what's the timestamp? And I'm like, she's like, good, I'll call you back. And she's done that for years for me. This particular season wasn't a pity party, but you have to have your friend who's like, anyway, drop the drama. She's like, Danielle, and my sister said it to me at the same time. If you had cancer, if you had type 1 diabetes and had to be on insulin, would you take the medication? And my sister said, if I had it, what would you do? I'm like, I'd shove that down your throat. She's like, exactly. Drop the drama, as Raquel says. And I did. In that moment, bam, drop the drama. So there's no shame in experiencing it. I want people to know that you can be successful. I'm a successful coach. I'm a successful marketing person. I'm a successful mom. My daughter is sitting her last exam of university in about an hour, right? And if I even said, we could do a whole show about that journey, about literally at the last minute having to figure out how to get my daughter to university and dealing with stuff she was going through, right? And showing up for her. She says, in 2 hours, it's all over. Well, almost all over. So I want people to know that you can be successful. I want people to know that I'm a powerful person simply because that's how God created me, not from ego or anything like that. And I want to help, right? And you as a powerful person listening, when you get to the other side of this, or even before, powerful people help powerful people. And there is no shame in medication. There's none of that shame to just none. Just drop the drama, as Raquel says, and I don't know if you guys are up for it, but I really would like to share with people, just some of the things I've done since that, January declaration.
Absolutely. Sure, that's what this is about.
Yeah. So one of the things that I have to say to people is, I've spoken about the medication, but I don't say that's the first place to go. Even now, I was telling the guys before we started that, I started looking at, I'm not making a commitment, but raw eating, raw foods. And because I want to increase my greens. As I study food and get to understand food more, the effect that it has on our bodies, and a lot of doctors don't talk about that. So, but cutting the sugar is a huge part of anxiety and depression. I will tell you that if I have two bites of cake right now, my anxiety goes up immediately, right? So a lot of the times we're facing anxiety, and yes, there's a neurological issue, but oftentimes there's also a physical. The same thing with my anemia. Immediately, I went and got intravenous iron and vitamin C, because the doctor, I went to a naturopath, said we have to deal with everything, but you're never going to feel well until we get the body working. I want people to talk about it. Talk about it. I talked to my friends, you know. I prayed with my friends prayed with me when I couldn't find the words. Talk to a therapist. There are therapists out there who are amazing. Dr. Karen Richards, she's out of this world, and anybody can DM me for her information. She has walked me through. Of course, there's an opportunity to work with a coach. We don't handle mental issues. We will do a referral, but we can walk with you through many of the habits and lifestyle changes that you may want to make. You know, exercise, that opportunity that my sister said to just get me out of the house to go for a walk. And every day it was like, Danielle, half an hour, half an hour. By the way, for those who know me, need to exercise, I'm tearing down tiles. Me and Stokely are throwing down shit. So me to not be able to go for a walk was like, what's going on? You know, just like zero feeling to do it. I got a bike put in my house just so that there's absolutely no excuse. Being open, telling people what you need. You know, like I got to the point where I'm like, guys, I need you. I need to talk. I called Raquel. I'm like, I need to cry. I need to cry. And my sister said to me one day, what do you need? And I said, I just need you on the phone because it just feels so dark. My friend Rick just came here one afternoon and sat, of course, we're in COVID, in his mask across my living room and me on the other side. It was the best Saturday of my life because all of us, we went out 3 times to buy. We went and he bought a patty and this and which is, in other words, the movement, the friendship, the fraternity. And I have to say to you, as my therapist says, what are you doing in service of your values? There are often times that people in our lives are not in service of our values. I mentioned going through some rough relationship stuff. You don't need to keep certain people around that are draining those values, that are bringing back up situations in your life that are the mere memory of it. And there's some people who don't pour into your life and don't give you an opportunity to pour into theirs. So remove from your life what doesn't serve you. The most obvious thing, and of course talk to a doctor about this, is supplementation, iron, B12, zinc, magnesium. Those are the ones that get that picture going. I read and tried to understand. There's a book by this guy, he's the head of Bethel Music, and he suffered a lot with anxiety and depression. It's an amazing book, Brian something or other. And I halfway through that book, I got deflated because I'm like, if the guy who's like singing to God, like he's as close, like the angels and him are friends. Like when I don't even care if you're a Christian. When Brian wants to have his face and starts singing, you hand them just go up, right? You don't have to love Jesus, but you know what I'm saying? And I'm saying, if he and the angels are hanging out together and he's struggling, like it's over for me. Like I don't reach up in an angel realm there. So, but as I went through his story, he fought for it. But I read and I got to understand what was going on with me. And I can't help but talk about prayer and meditation. It doesn't matter to me what religion or doctrine you follow, or if any at all. But sitting quietly and meditating, finding your breath, allowing your anxiety to come down. I use my watch, and when my watch says my heart rate is at 1,000,000, whatever, I know, especially like last weekend, I was washing the dishes, but I was super freaked out about something. And I'm like, my watch, it was like I was exercising. And I'm like, okay, no, this is anxiety. Bring it down. And I just went and sat quietly. And in my case, because of my beliefs, I literally asked the Holy Spirit to take over. Just take over right now. And then we moved into all the other things. So I'm going to eat properly today. I'm going to exercise today, because I know that anxiety level could take me down a spiral. And I'm not, so there's an awareness because of the knowledge that I have gained. You know, I can't help but just express, like, you know, that basket of words that my friends and my family gave me, my sister and my dad, my daughter saying, Mommy, I'm proud of you. no matter what, mommy, I'm proud. I'm proud of you. That is the reason why I can smile today. That's the reason why I'm here to share, because of those people who said it's okay.
Okay, before you make the rest of us start bawling tonight, Danielle, can you tell us about Well by Danielle and how you
Yeah.
help other people?
Sure, sure. So as a coach, I'm here to work with individuals around. I don't wear makeup, so this is like very odd to like cry in the makeup, right? So, thank you, Tammy Chin, by the way, for that great editing about how to do your eyebrows. So I just want everybody to notice my eyebrows. Who she taught me how to do my eyebrows.
I look good.
Thank you. It was like a really great product that she recommended. Anyway, um, well, by Danielle, as a coach, I work with my clients. I want to just tell you a story about my coaching. So I coached a guy, and it was very like, I hadn't coached with a guy before. And he wanted to lose 25 pounds before his birthday in 45 days. He was on my 45-day plan. He lost 19 pounds in October, and it was phenomenal. His energy came up. He was relating more with his kids. He was showing up for work more powerfully. All of this because he started moving, he started eating. One day he said to me, Daniel, I wanted to drink some chocolate milk, but I thought you'd kill me. So this is if you're drinking chocolate milk. I'm not here to tell you what's bad or good, because sometimes you want chocolate milk. I'm not saying drink the whole carton. So I'm not here to tell anybody what to do. I want to tell you about him. In December, he got COVID, and he messaged me. He was doing better. And he said, Daniel, I think I owe you my life. And I'm like, for what? He said, I don't think if I hadn't lost that weight, I would have made it through COVID. That was the moment that I knew the investment in coaching was absolutely worth it, because he had lost that weight, he had become active, his lungs were now expanded, and he had changed his mindset. He was able to tap into a new him, a new way of thinking. So what we do as coaches is literally say, what do we need to get to resolve in order to develop new habits? What is the, because remember, the thoughts deliver feelings, deliver output, right? So it's all about taking up my clients through that process. So whether that be about weight loss, I worked with somebody who wanted to expand their business and do better, but also include a healthier lifestyle for her and her husband. It was outstanding work. It was so much energy was there. And seeing people, we work hand in hand with creating accountability. I certainly do in my practice. So actually we get together a lot more than maybe like coaches get together like once a week. No, I'm with you like 3-4 days. I'm like all up funding, like, yeah, how's that eating going? How's that water? Well, how are we going to win this week? Creating the momentum of winning every session. What are our 2 wins? What are we winning this week? How are we winning today? And sometimes that's just an extra bottle of water. But creating that momentum of winning is what takes us out of sad moments. It takes us out of debt. It takes us out of weight loss. It takes us out of, too much weight. It takes us out of all of these things that we've been struggling with for years. You know, that kind of New Year's resolution that you renew every 3 months?
Yeah.
We're here to say there's a reason, there's something standing in your way that keeps causing that. And very importantly, I walk with people to take the priorities in your life and place them in your life. So we all have goals, but how are you showing up every day? How are those goals showing up every day in your life? Because that's the only way it's going to become a habit. So I want to lose weight, or I want to make some more money. You have to show up with that as a topic every day of your life. And that's why I'm constantly reading about food. Because if not, I just want to go eat some ice cream, like all the time, right? 222-pound mindset is still there. 126 pound right now, like 135. Is there, but it was 20 years of eating badly, not serving myself. So it's about creating new habits, new pathways. And that's what we do as a coach. And that's what I do at Well by Danielle. Also, I have some really yummy snacks that I just started because, we all need yummy snacks. We're all busy.
Super yummy.
Yeah, they're super
yummy.
good. And it was just another way to serve people, because I'm not the only one who likes to snack. And I'm not the only one who's like, what the hell do I snack on? And I had to figure out a way how to do that without sugar. I had to do that without flour. And my girlfriend, Sarah, said, well, why don't you just sell them? And I was like, good plan. And so I just started. She helped me with my packaging. God bless Simply Jim Dandy, to help me with my packaging. And we now deliver every Saturday and Sunday because I have a full-time job. These well snacks that you can get on my website.
And what's your website?
Yes, please. And how we order on
Wellbydanielle.com is my website. And for Instagram, it's live_well by Danielle.
I don't follow live_ because I thought I followed all of Danielle.
There you go. So the website is actually Well by Danielle. It's okay. That's fine. And then everybody can just find me at Danielle Terrelonge on Instagram and Facebook and whatever. I respond to most everything as long as it's appropriate.
There we go. Well by Danielle.
Some of the inappropriate ones we just block. But I respond to everyone. Like, somebody messaged me today about, how do I help somebody, overcome an illness? And I was like, I just said, I can't tell you as a doctor, I can't tell you the medical stuff, but here's what I would do, So, yeah. There's no shame in depression. There's no shame in anxiety. You can be successful. You can be powerful. You can have a power wall like mine behind and turn around and look at it every day and say, he who began a good work in you will see it to completion, because he will.
Oh, wow.
We are so super proud of you.
Thank you.
And really,
I think you have opened the door for so many, certainly for me tonight, and when I'm seeing in the comments that we are seeing ourselves in you. We are also recognizing that, and just what you keep saying, you can be successful, you can be a high achiever, you can be doing very well, and it doesn't mean that anxiety can't come in your life, depression. How are you going to deal with it?
Right.
What's spiritual place? How are you taking care of yourself? How are you showing up for yourself? And that sometimes we just need help. That is expert help.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, sorry, there's one other thing I didn't say. Stop. It's so important, and that's what December was for me. And as I said, it kind of worked out, so I didn't kind of have to fall apart to my team and my clients. But it's so important. So now, every quarter, Naomi's good at this all the time. Stop. You know what? It will be there in an hour. It will be there. It will be there tomorrow morning, right? As my girlfriend, Arlene Regala says, Danielle, we're not curing cancer. We can back it up. We are not. Some people are, thank God. But we are not. So we can stop and sit down with yourself, pray, meditate. But that ability to stop, I promise you, your children, they'll be there in an hour. They will, and they will be alive. They will be. Mine is 22, almost 23. She's still around. A few moments of stop, right? So allow yourself to stop.
Wow. Thank you so much, Danielle, for being so open and so vulnerable and just willing to open up yourself like this on this platform to share with so many people that I know that they have been impacted in a very positive way, and most of all, I believe that they've been inspired.
Thank you.
And that, like I said, there is no shame in mental health.
Tony.
The problem is we just don't talk about it enough.
We don't, and we have to talk about it. We have to talk about it more. We have to make it be just as normal as having cancer, as broken your big toe, as having a crick neck. It's as normal as it gets, and there's help. It is available. You do not have to feel like your world is coming to an end. You do not have to feel so much dread. As a matter of fact, there is so much more. There is life. There is liberty. I sound like about to Rastafari. There is life. There is liberty.
That's okay.
There is power. There is energy. There is so much to be had. Depression becomes a norm for so many people. There is so much life and so much abundance available. Just ask for help.
Yes.
Thank you. And that's why it's so great that we have another awesome guest backstage that is going to now give us some additional insight and tools to help us as we are still unraveling, our own mental health journeys. So thank you so much, Danielle. We really appreciate you taking the time to share. And we'll also continue to pray for you as you continue along this journey. Guys, her snacks, pretty awesome.
For sure. And I do free consultations for coaching. So anybody that wants to sign up, just go to the website. I'm here to serve and help.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Danielle.
Thanks, Danielle.
So guys, we don't want you to leave because there's a part 2 to today's session. So I'm going to hand over to Roshi, who is the expert at doing these things. as we introduce our next guest.
So, as Danielle discussed, sometimes we actually need expert help. And going to our GP doesn't feel like expert help. We're okay with that. We'll go and get our pap smear done at the gynecologist. But a sense of dread comes over us at the thought of a psychiatrist. Dr. Jordan Eaton, he was educated in medicine at the great University of the West Indies, Mona. He graduated in 2014 and proceeded to intern and later became senior house officer at UWI, where he found a passion for mental health and psychiatry and went to specialize in treating patients with multiple mental health problems at Kingston Public Hospital. He's currently enrolled in the graduate psychiatry program with intention of becoming a consultant psychiatrist. And before he gets there, however, he's joining us on Detour Essentials. And ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourself. There's nothing like a conversation with Dr. Eaton. Dr. Eaton, welcome.
Thank you, ladies. Hello, everybody. Nothing like a conversation with Dr. Eaton.
You will never get another introduction like that in your life, okay?
I mean, I'm going to take it. Yeah, I feel good. I feel good. Good evening, everybody. Ladies, it's good to see you. It's good to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Jordan.
And thank you, Danielle, so much for sharing that very vulnerable story, that powerful story, that deeply personal experience. And this is one of the things why I'm glad that we are now in a digital age. We speak about the cons of COVID, but we now have to speak about some of the pros of COVID. One of the pros of COVID is we have spaces like this.
Mm-hmm.
We have Twitter spaces, Instagram live spaces. We are now actively involving ourselves in discussing things that were there, but we weren't really talking about them before because, but now we're forced to deal with it. So I want to prove a point. Ladies, humor me. I'm going to just ask a couple quick questions. Does anybody here, myself included, feel excessive amounts of worry or anxiety about half the time to most of the time for the last 3 to 6 months?
Don't feel obligated. You don't have to peer pressure. You don't have to.
No. I don't feel peer pressure.
All right, fine. No problems. How many of us?
Jordan, it's been troubling me. Like, I've never felt this kind of stuff before, like anxiety. I've been drinking leaf tea. Yes.
So hold on. So that's one. All right. Who here has been having trouble sleeping?
Yeah.
Okay. Either you're sleeping much more than you normally would, or when you go to sleep, you can't fall asleep or you can't stay asleep. In my case, I dream where I'm at work and I literally wake up and I'm having a conversation with my boss at work. And I've literally had a friend come into my room and say, "Who are you talking to?" And I'm dead asleep. And I literally turn to my friend and I say, "Sorry, boss, I'm presenting a patient to my consultant." And then it takes about 3 minutes and then you realize, but you're sleeping.
Yeah.
Open your eyes, sit in your bed, and go back to sleep. Unconscious. So that's two. Who here gets a lot of tension headaches or muscle tension in your neck?
Recently,
Neck, shoulders, head. Like something is just squeezing around your head.
Yeah. Tight.
Okay. Who has been feeling...
Stop talking to Dr. Eaton now? I don't like the direction that this is going in.
No. I'm proving a point. I'm proving a point. I'm proving a point.
Can you highlight Lansdale's comments? The last one.
Oh yeah, Lansdale. Yeah, man. Big it up, yeah, man. Insomnia. Oh yeah, man. Insomnia peak and turn up. This is just the start of it, right? Those are all symptoms of an anxiety disorder. Mm-hmm. And that's when we say anxiety, it's a big blanket term. When people hear anxiety, they just think, oh, you're anxious. It's not just that. There are different forms of anxiety. You have a generalized anxiety disorder, like some of the symptoms we're all admitting to. You have a panic disorder where you just feel episodes of panic for no reason that just peaks in about 10 minutes and you just dissipate and you have no idea what brings it on. It just comes up multiple times for the day or ever so often, and you just feel like you're gonna pass out, your world is gonna end, you feel like you're choking, you can't breathe, your heart is racing, you're short. All of those symptoms, panic. You have specific phobias, fear of lizards, fear of cockroaches, fear of clowns, for example, all categorized as specific phobias. And all of these trigger what we call a stress response in your body. All right? It goes back to, and I don't want to get too technical, but it has to do with adrenaline and the fight or flight reaction. And your body basically your brain and your body have been conditioned when you're exposed to a stimulus. You do not know why you have this reaction, but you feel like you have to fight or you have to run away. And as you continue doing that over and over and over again, it reinforces itself. And as a result, it becomes an unconscious pattern. So you will not even understand why you are afraid of clowns, for example. You just know clowns fill you with an extreme sense of dread. All right? And all the symptoms you have as a result, or all the symptoms you have are as a result of this cascade of hormones that are just washing through your body. Depression is the same thing. People hear depression and they think, oh, I'm sad. No. You can be sad. You can be anxious. You can be happy. There are normal human emotions, and a person is not supposed to always be happy or always be sad. It makes no sense. You're supposed to be happy sometimes, sad sometimes, and you come back to like a nice normal. When you are sad consistently, when you are anxious consistently, when it is interfering with your ability to sleep, to work, to socialize, this is where we're entering into the realm of pathology. And this is where we start making diagnoses like major depressive disorders, major depressive episode, persistent depressive disorders, bipolar disorder, all of them. We have to look at how is this affecting your life. If you have a big meeting coming up and you are nervous about it, that's normal. It is your body telling you you're nervous about this. It is pushing you in a direction and it's a guide. You're supposed to have that. But when you are having that day in, day out, you are running your system ragged and you're preventing yourself from being able to function. Right? I see somebody here saying that depression makes you feel hopeless and angry. Absolutely. There are 9 major symptoms of depression. And again, I won't ask you all or anybody in chat to go through with me, but I can speak from experience. I have been a patient, currently on medication, and I am a provider, right? I speak very openly about it. I am no longer stigmatized by having depression or anxiety. It is a component of who I am, right? So I can completely relate to what all Danielle is saying. Those moments where you go to bed and you just don't want to move, where you cannot move yourself to do anything, where you have to force yourself to eat and you have to force yourself to function. And you have some very hopeless and very dark thoughts, right? That is depression. So, for example, major symptoms of depression. Have you been feeling sad, down, depressed consistently for maybe 2 weeks or longer? Are there things that you normally do for pleasure or for fun that don't make you feel good anymore? Having 2 of those major symptoms, the flags automatically start to go up. Those are 2 of the major symptoms for depression. We talk about changes in sleep. Either you're sleeping a whole lot or you're not sleeping at all. Changes in your appetite and associated changes in your weight. Some people with depression stress eat and just eat everything and you just put on weight. Some people don't eat anything and they still put on weight. Some people don't eat anything and you lose weight. There's no rhyme or reason to it, right?
I think it's so important though that we stop and point out the fact that our mental wellness really impacts our physical wellness.
Oh no, and I can prove it to you. So for example, I had a conference to go to and I presented a case of a woman who 50s, no comorbidities, no diabetes, no hypertension, no high cholesterol, nothing. She ended up on the neurology service. And how she ended up there was she had a stroke. Ask me why she had the stroke.
Why did you have the stroke?
Thank you, Naomi. This is an interaction. Right. She got into an argument with her neighbor, and she was cussing, and her blood pressure just went through the roof. And then she felt a little funny, and then she went inside, and her daughter said to her, "Mom, your face looks a little twisted. You're dragging one leg." By the time she got to a hospital, stroke. She had a bleed, in fact, not a clot, a bleed, which is the more deadly of the two.
Wow.
No risk factors. She doesn't drink, she doesn't smoke, she doesn't have any comorbidities. When you have enough stress in your life, you can make yourself sick, because all those stress hormones, like adrenaline and noradrenaline, there's another one called cortisol. It's called the stress hormone. And it basically just breaks down your immune system. It makes you more vulnerable to having diseases, infections, for example. It makes you impaired in your glucose, for example. So you can develop diabetes. It makes your blood pressure go up. It weakens your blood vessels, and you can have more strokes or heart attacks. Mental health and physical well-being go hand in hand. There is no good health without good mental health. But the challenge is always talking about it, because we feel stigmatized, we feel alone, we feel like it is just us. And especially depression, it makes you feel that you are in a dark place and there's no light coming through.
Yeah.
Cannot
And-
do anything.
So Jordan, one of the things, and Danielle mentioned no shame, because a lot of very high functioning people who are in very stressful jobs and are seeing the signs. Signs are coming, and they may be able to pull themselves out of it 1 week, and then the next week they're back in, until it just starts becoming the pattern. But then there is the, okay, maybe I'm not exercising enough, or I have been eating too much cake, and maybe I should stop eating red meat, because it's the red meat that's causing it. Because there is this fear of turning up to see Dr. Eaton. And suppose somebody see me and say Dr. Eaton is not a gynecologist.
So full disclosure, I have a rule with all my patients, and I say to everybody, whether public or private, if you're coming to see me, people know that I practice psychiatry. As a result, I don't identify myself as a physician in public. Things like this, I do rarely, because I don't like people to associate me with Dr. Eaton, because people see me out the road and they're like, "Are you really
Carnival Day.
Right, because when I am on Carnival and I am 3/4 naked, semi-intoxicated with a very large headpiece on, I mean, I really don't care. I know people look at me strange, but I'm like, no, I function. This is how I do it. I work hard, I play hard, right? So I tell patients, if you're coming to see me, do not ever worry about me introducing myself to you, or you having to come over and introduce yourself to me in a public setting. There's no obligation. And if we run out and run into each other, you get to decide how you want me to identify myself. Because I tell people I work as a GP. So you could come to me for a chest infection, asthma. You want to say, oh, he's a friend of mine. No problems. It's your business as far as I'm concerned. If you don't want to share it, you don't have to.
Yeah.
But I encourage people to reach out. If you don't want to reach out to a psychiatrist first, speak to your doctor. That's always a good place to start. Right? Your doctor can do different tests. You can even do tests online. If you Google right now, self-quiz for depression, self-quiz for anxiety, you can get hundreds of hits. And you sit down and you think, maybe I should do one of these and see where I'm at. And you see the score comes back and it tells you how to interpret it. If it says moderate or severe, you say, well, maybe I should get a second opinion and go to your GP. Your GP may not feel comfortable diagnosing it. Your GP may be like someone like me who has training in psychiatry and can say, all right, I'm going to send you to a psychiatrist. Or your GP may be a more seasoned doctor who can say, all right, I'm going to start you on some medication. We're going to watch out for these things and we're going to see how you do. And if we have any trouble, then I'm going to put you onto a psychiatrist. You don't even have to go that far. You can speak to your GP about changing your diet and an exercise routine, because diet and exercise do play a role. Exercise boosts your natural endorphins and allows you a way to de-stress. It is brilliant. I recommend to all my patients, no matter what disease they have, exercise. 30 minutes at least 4 times a week. It does wonders for your mental health. right? It does wonders for your physical well-being as well.
And your sleep.
And your sleep. Listen, it's so good.
That's why I didn't put my hand up for the sleep part, because I honestly realized that because I go to the gym early in the morning, I'm ready for bed by 7 o'clock, and I sleep a deep sleep. But that wasn't always the case. And I will say that I have had those situations where I do dream that I'm at work, and it's the most stressful kind of dream ever, because you feel like you've already worked the day.
Yeah.
All day.
So
even with that kind of situation where you've gone through this pretty much checklist of diagnosis, medication, because medication is something too that people get, oh, but if I get medication for this, and the ads that come on TV say that your fingernail them are gonna drop off, your eye gonna pump out of your head if you take.
Everything up to and including death.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder.
Even though you're running through the field.
And you're running a marathon.
Yeah.
But this medication can cause a heart attack, which will cause you to die.
Yes.
And it's a conversation I have with patients, and I say to them, Google is a wonderful resource. I encourage people to Google, but please do not come and tell me what you have based on Google, because there is a distinction. Yeah, let's not do WebMD. I beg of you. I had a friend who messaged me in panic one day saying that he's been having this pain in his leg and da 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 da. And the long and short of it is he Googled his symptoms and WebMD told him he had cancer, and he was freaking out. And I laughed him to scorn as a friend. I said, you're supposed to be a sensible person.
No, I do not. I go into the doctor's office and read the pamphlet of an ailment.
Right.
And I walk in there, I have it. It. Thing in the pamphlet.
And you see, it's a starting point to have that conversation. And I encourage people to have that starting point. And I will say to them, this medication, when you Google it, is going to tell you 10 million side effects. We have to put it into context. When a drug is brought to market, we test it on 10 million people. If one person takes that medication and they die a week after because they had an aneurysm that was undiagnosed and they die as a result of it, you technically have to disclose that as a death related to medication. You have to put things into context. So we speak about things that are common and things that are not so common. And as Danielle had said, different people's bodies respond different ways.
Yes.
There is no one size fits all for psychiatry. The five of us here can have the same condition with the same demographics and background and genetic predispositions and everything, but we will require 5 different medications to work for each of us. It takes some time, and it involves open conversation with your doctor. That being said, medication is not always the first option. We know from experience studies that for minor levels of depression and minor levels of anxiety, and even moderate levels of anxiety, we can treat it with cognitive behavioral therapy, which is why I was so happy when Danielle was talking about change your thinking, change your life.
Yes.
The biggest school of psychotherapy nowadays is what we call CBT, cognitive behavioral thinking. And basically what it says is that your thoughts influence your behaviors and it outpictures your experience. The problem is that a lot of us have a lot of negative core beliefs. I am not worthy. I am unlovable. Bad things happen to me. I am worthless. I am hopeless. And as a result, they think people will see them as that, and they think that the world is going to see them as that. So you see the world almost through the lens of negativity. And what the foundation of CBT is you reframe and restructure. And you say, why do we think this? What is the proof of this? Are we just automatically jumping to the worst case scenario, what psychologists call catastrophization? Are we doing it's either 0 or 100% and there's no middle ground, which is all or nothing thinking? These are different things that we do unconsciously because it's what we're socialized to do. Right. If you get 100 on a test, you failed. Speaking from experience, went to Campion, horrible complexes as a result of it.
Oh, yeah, Rochelle.
What do you have to say about that, Rochelle?
I went to Campion, no complexes.
No, you don't have any complex. Oh, bless your heart, Rochelle. It's not difficult. It's not.
Yeah, but again, just different experiences.
No, it's a different experience, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
What may make me depressed may not make you depressed, and vice versa, because you have your own natural coping skills, and I have mine.
Yes.
And which is why it's never a one size fits all. You take the patient who is in front of you. You take the client who is in front of you. Doc, I don't want to go on medication just yet. What are my options? Okay, no problems. Let us explore changing your diet, exercise. Let us investigate for other causes. Depression, anxiety, and other mental disorders can be caused by medical illnesses. For example, diabetes can make you feel depressed. Hypertension can make you feel anxious. Heart disease can give you symptoms of anxiety. If your thyroid level is too high or too low, if you have a tumor in your brain, and I need to know what it is. Psychiatry is a diagnosis of exclusion. I need to make sure everything is medically normal, because if you have, for example, a slow growing tumor in your brain, and it means that these symptoms are coming on gradually and slowly over time, I can put you on the best medication in the world, but I'm not fixing the problem. The problem in what we call a primary psychiatric disorder is a chemical and a neurological imbalance in the brain. That's why we give medication, because it helps to rebalance it. But if I have something pressing on a part of my brain, the medication isn't going to rebalance that. I need to go and see a surgeon. I need to cut that thing out and see where I am. I might be depressed after I cut the thing out because I just went and cut something out of my head. But that's a different matter entirely.
Yeah.
Right?
Jordan, in terms of support, we are in mental health month, and unlike with other diseases, we can probably get a glass of water for you or follow you to the doctor. Sometimes loved ones struggle with, how can I support? What can I do to help? And start beating ourselves up. I'm not doing enough. I'm not saying the right things. What are some of the things that loved ones can do to support? We can support each other.
So it's actually not just loved ones. So patients go through this entire experience of, I am alone in this and I don't know how to reach out for help. So for example, when I was at the lowest point of my depression, I was, trigger warning, sorry, I was contemplating self-harm, right? On several occasions. It's not something I'm proud of, but it's a part of who I am, right? One of the things that got me out of it was considering who would find me. More than likely my mother. And as bad as I felt, I couldn't live, well, I wouldn't be living, but I couldn't put her through that. Sometimes it is about shifting where we are and saying, all right, I need to, if I don't want to speak to a doctor yet, let me go and speak to a friend. If you're a friend or a family and someone comes to you and says, this is what is happening, one of the worst things you can possibly say is, other people have it worse. Buck up, your life is going well. Okay? Worst things you can say. As a caregiver, as a friend, all you need to do is create a safe space. You just need to allow this. And as Danielle said, her friend says to her, how long is this pity party going to last? Maybe not as aggressively, but I tell people, you want to have a controlled breakdown, fine, set an alarm on your phone. We're going to go to pieces for an hour. But that's all I can devote for today. So I am going to have a big glass of wine. I'm going to put on Adele 21. I am going to go to pieces. And when that alarm goes off, I'm closing the bottle of wine. I'm stopping Adele. I'm going to have a shower. I'm going to get myself together. And I'm going to put on the big boy pants or the big girl pants, as the case may be. And we're going to tackle it again. You take that hour, you go to pieces, and then you double back. You allow people, and as Shante said, you create a safe space. You don't have to have an answer. You validate people's feelings. You are allowed to feel whatever you're feeling, no matter what is going on. It is your right as a human being. And anybody who tells you otherwise, send them to me, let me sort them out. With medication or otherwise.
or otherwise. Otherwise.
No, and I get very defensive about my patients because one of the things that you see specifically in mental health and mental health care is, for example, patients who have psychotic illnesses or bipolar disorder. When they get angry, their relatives are very quick to jump and carry them to hospital. Oh, they're psychotic. Medicate them, sedate them, and admit them to hospital. And that defeats the purpose of it. A person is allowed to have their human emotions while still having their diagnosis. You wouldn't tell a patient who has insulin dependent diabetes, who is sad about having to stick themselves every day, to just suck it up and deal with it. You don't tell an asthmatic who is in the throes of an asthma attack, you don't need your Ventolin, just pray and it'll go away, or just you need to go and do some more. And no, there reaches a point where our natural coping reserves are done. And you need someone there to hold you physically or emotionally and say, it is okay. It is okay to be vulnerable. And I may not understand what is happening, but tell me, how can I help? How can I support you? You don't have to have the answer. The person may have the answer, the person may not have the answer. Maybe what the person needs is just someone to vent to. People sometimes just need someone to scream at about things that are happening, to let it go. We call it ventilation. And then after all of that, you can come up and say, but wait, I didn't think about this. Maybe I should do it this way. Or a person can say, well, that's a good idea, but maybe if we build on it in this way and it becomes more collaborative. You need to create a safe space for people to be able to be vulnerable. And it's about recognizing emotional cues.
Yes.
Which is something that we are very lacking in Jamaica, because emotional intelligence is not our forte.
No, Karen actually says we need to re-socialize Jamaicans about how to treat with and respond to mental health issues. She had said earlier, I've learned that while I'm in a dark place, the sun will still rise and birds will sing. I have to decide if I want to step into the light or stay in my darkness. Thank you for that, Karen. And
it's a powerful sentiment.
Yeah, DK Sin 91 said whole space. Because more time, while sometimes they want to just vent, just as you said, and not necessarily have a conversation, but creating the space is important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you have a friend like me, for example, who is a mental health professional, I'm going to tell you, we're going to get you to speak to a doctor. Oh, but what up? No, I'm not going to be a doctor. I respect you too much as a friend to be your doctor. I don't treat friends for mental health problems. I don't certain things I don't get involved in, and people don't understand why, and I have to explain it to them. I don't want any information about you that I should not have as a friend. If as a friend you're not comfortable telling me about your traumas, I don't want you to tell me as your doctor. We need to create a separation. I can get you a list of doctors. I can get you appointments. I can call in favors. I will go to ground for you. If you need medication, I will get medication for you. If you need me at 1 o'clock in the morning, you call my phone. We are going to get something sorted out. I cannot wear both hats at the same time with people.
Yeah.
I have to create that. You have to create that space. And it's not just for the patient or the friend. It is for the person as well. Because I had to accept long ago that as much as I want to help people, I am not accountable for people's action. And I can't tell someone not to do something because they think it's their only way. I may not agree with it, but I will respect their decision.
Yes. And I'm really glad that you've said that I'm not accountable for people's actions, because sometimes too, when persons have created or think they've created a safe space, we take it on. If we don't feel the person has healed by the time they leave the safe space, we're like, I failed them. Or if they actually do need to go and get additional help, we're like, but you were talking to me, I should be able to help you. I'm a good listener. I should be able to help. And
you see, it's a struggle that I actually had to go through as well, because I thought doing this, I could help people. But then I realized there's a whole reason that psychiatry and psychology are separated.
Yes.
There are people that specialize in psychology and there are completely different schools of psychology. And there are people who are specifically trained to pick up things that I may see as normal, but they may say, no, but this doesn't match with this, or this can mean, and we can explore it more in a healthy and therapeutic, safe way that I may not be able to do.
Well, Karen asked a question. Doc, is there a relationship between PTSD and depression in any
Oh,
form?
absolutely, Karen. Absolutely. PTSD is what we, in the Bible of psychiatry that we unofficially call it, is called the DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Psychology and Psychiatry, currently in version 5. In version 4, the revision, they had depression, anxiety, and PTSD, acute stress disorder, all listed in the same general categories. Now they've separated everything. So now we recognize trauma related episodes as an entity unto themselves, depression related episodes as an entity unto themselves, and anxiety related episodes as an entity unto themselves. However, we are also cognizant that they can all occur at the same time. If I have a patient who has a traumatic experience, whether in the last month or in the last 6 years, I am strongly suspicious for PTSD. Even if the patient comes to me for depression or anxiety, I am asking questions related to trauma because they go hand in hand. And how it presents is that you may see the depressive symptoms first, and then as time goes by, the trauma starts to come out, and you put everything into context and you say, oh, the depression is there, but it's really a symptom of the PTSD, or the anxiety is there, but it is a symptom of the PTSD, or the depression and the anxiety are both there at the same time as a result of the PTSD. So it takes time. It's about developing a rapport with your doctor. And I tell people all the time, if you don't like your psychiatrist, if you don't like your psychologist, find a new one.
Oh, and Karen actually asked what was to be my last question. How do you determine whether you need a psychiatrist or a psychologist?
So it depends. A difficult question. The answer is you can really go either way.
Okay.
So, for example, if you are feeling overwhelmed and you don't think it is to the point where you need medical intervention, you can start with a counselor or a psychologist, right? And they may be able to say to you, all right, we can work on these things and you will see improvement. Sometimes, and it has happened before, psychologists have recognized that the patient's symptoms are beyond mild or bordering on moderate or severe and require chemical intervention. And they will say, it's time for us to go and consider medication with a psychiatrist, right? On the flip side, you may go and book an appointment with a psychiatrist, and a psychiatrist might say, yeah, you do have depression or anxiety, but there are options. We don't necessarily have to go with medication. You can do talk therapy, psychotherapy. And that may be something that you would prefer because you don't have to be on medication, because people don't like to take medication, and I respect that, right?
Yeah.
So it goes either way. A psychiatrist can refer to a psychologist can refer to a psychiatrist, a GP can refer to a psychologist or a psychiatrist, or everybody can refer to everybody. It's very fluid.
Well, Jordan, this has been an amazing conversation and just so eye-opening. You know, sometimes when people are suffering from mental health issues, and during this month, we
don't suffer with mental health conditions. We live with. It's a person living with depression, a person living with anxiety, a person living with schizophrenia. We are no longer defined by our illnesses.
Yes.
We are reclaiming our power.
That's the thing, because I was actually going to go on to say, I note that the term is living with. Does it mean, therefore, that it is a living with forever, or is there potential recovery where you're no longer living with?
Depends on the condition.
Okay.
Some conditions are chronic and enduring. For example, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder type 1, we cannot cure it. We can manage it with medication. However, some of our patients do well on very small doses of medication. Some of our patients can actually reach the point where they know what their symptoms are, for example, hallucinations and delusions, and they're able to check themselves. So, for example, A Beautiful Mind, John Nash, suffered from psychotic episodes, and he would literally look at the person next to him and say, "Are you seeing this person here talking to me?" And if they said yes, then he knew it was real.
Ah.
Would say, "All right, going to ignore you," and they can ignore their symptoms, right? Some conditions like depression, anxiety, PTSD, acute stress disorder, OCD can resolve with medication alone, with therapy alone, or with medication and therapy. And to be clear, there's not just talk therapy. There's art therapy, there's hypnotherapy, there's eye movement desensitization and reprogramming. There is a new branch of psychiatric interventions coming up that's in the first world, and we're trying to get it here. Psychotropic psychotherapy. We give patients hallucinogenic medication,
Mm.
And
LSD,
I've
mushrooms.
been seeing
MDMA,
that. I've been
Molly,
seeing that.
right? In a controlled therapeutic setting with the right patient under the right conditions and with a trained psychologist and or psychiatrist, it has been shown to significantly improve some cognitive disorders.
Yes.
Oh,
I've been seeing
Similarly to
that.
medical cannabis. So psychiatry is the ugly duckling of medicine. It is a recent development in the last 50 to 100 years. And we still don't know enough because we just don't know enough about the brain. We may know something this year that changes next year. We have now, because of COVID, begun to rethink the
Yes.
source of depression, for example. There's a seminal study that came out of the Lancet, or either early this year or late last year, that says 25 to 34% of all patients who had been diagnosed with COVID had developed a psychiatric complication or a neurological complication.
Wow.
We are currently in a mental health crisis as a result of the pandemic.
Absolutely.
And I am pretty sure there are a lot of people listening on the interwebs who are struggling with issues of depression, anxiety, sleep disturbance, all of it. I encourage everybody to reach out and talk to your doctor, especially in Jamaica, where public psychiatric facilities are amazing. If you go publicly to either your nearest health center, one of the major hospitals, you can get seen in the clinic, you can get prescribed medication. The medication is free under the NHF.
No.
If you want to go to a private psychiatrist, there are oodles. If you want to go to a private psychologist, there are oodles. If you want to do online therapy options, there are oodles. I know the office that I work out of sometimes actually has a psychiatrist who does psychology and psychiatry online. See a patient, have the session with the patient, and adjust things as is needed. But it's about responding to the age that we are in. We're still facing we're still in a Panasonic, for God's sakes, and we are having a random shootout in the middle of Trafalgar Park.
Yeah.
There's riots happening. People are burning. People are killing. It is a very mentally taxing time. Gender-based violence is on the rise. Interpersonal violence is on the rise. Aggressors against children is on the rise. These are all interlinked. I'm pretty sure substance use is on the rise as well, because people feel that they can medicate with cannabis or alcohol, not recognizing in a lot of cases you can actually make the problem worse.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We need a whole other session with you, Dr. Eaton.
For sure.
I did warn you, I like to talk. I'm passionate about mental health.
So do we, and this is, it's such an important conversation to have, that we don't have often enough.
Yes. And it was great having this conversation with you, Jordan, because you really broke things down, and you can certainly see from the questions and the commentary, very, very engaging, and we needed this discussion. So thank you detour.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you all for having me.
So don't be surprised if you get another call or WhatsApp to join us again.
Yes,
No
you're
problem.
gonna have to join us.
Sooner than
Pick a
later.
topic. Personality disorders. We love to talk about those. That's
Oh,
That'll
fun.
be
nice.
interesting.
Yes.
But
Well,
yeah, no, I will make myself available. I'm happy. I'm always happy to engage and to talk about mental health and mental well-being because, as I said, I am a survivor and I am a provider.
yes.
And I think it gives me a unique perspective.
Absolutely.
So
Because
I
then,
can
as much as you
navigate
understand
this.
through your profession, you really understand.
Right, exactly.
Right. So I can say to a patient, Zoloft helps.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
you don't know that? Yes, I do. I take Zoloft every
Okay.
night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I
but
think-
Zoloft didn't work for me. I said, let's try another medication.
Yeah.
I think the important thing people want to know right now, Jordan, is how do they get in contact with you? If they want to do a consultation, or what's the best way?
All right. So if it is that you are interested in speaking to me personally, or you're interested in speaking to the psychiatrist who works at the office that I'm out of, you can always check Pure Jamaica Medical. You're on Instagram. I will double check the name to be sure.
Let me double check.
Because I always forget, but I can tell you the office number is 876-615-4000. It's Pure Jamaica Healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
The office is on Windsor Avenue, and it is a full-fledged medical center. They do general practice, psychiatry, physiotherapy, nursing care. They offer home care. They offer rapid COVID antigen testing results. They are doing a lot of stuff. They do medical cannabis as well, right? If it is that you don't want to go privately and you'd like to go publicly, not a problem. Again, in Kingston and St. Andrew, Kingston Public Hospital, University Hospital of West Indies, Bellevue Hospital, all have public psychiatry clinics that you can attend. You just need a referral to get a date. All major health centers in every parish has a mental health day. So if you don't want to go to the hospital, you can go to the health center that is closest to you because the advantage of NHF and time and convenience, etc. If you want to go to a different psychiatrist, or if you want my opinion on a psychiatrist, or if you want a list of psychiatrists, you can let us know. We can facilitate. We have psychologists. We have things on speed dial.
Yes.
Awesome.
Wow. Thank you,
Thank
Jordan.
you so much, Jordan. This was, really eye-opening, to say the least.
Happy to help. And I'm
Carmen Clark says, Jordan, you are your usual awesomeness. Great job. Proud of you. You always make it real.
thank you, Carmen, my love. Look at that. But no, I'm happy. And hopefully someone out there got something and we can start a conversation and never feel that you are alone. This is a journey and people move at different paces, and we need to approach this as taking a step back, breathing, and allowing ourselves to be slow for a moment and recognize how far we have come. And in spite of everything, we are still here. So we can continue going.
Yes. Perfect takeaway.
Yes. Thank you so much. And we'll definitely be calling you for a follow-up because we need to do a deeper dive in this, have a deeper conversation, maybe in a different forum.
No problems.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jordan.
Thanks, Jordan.
Wow.
Woo.
Today was
Tonight's
great.
episode was a lot,
Yes.
but it was
a lot. Very
necessary.
necessary.
It was
Very
necessary a lot.
Yeah.
Very eye-opening, and I'm sure our audience got a lot of really good takeaways from both Danielle and Jordan. So we are so happy that we're able to have them on the show. I know a couple people joined a little bit late. That's no problem, because as you know, you can go watch the full episode on our YouTube channel. So we want to just take a moment to just thank again our guests that came on tonight, both Danielle and Jordan. Very eye-opening, sharing about, just mental health and just the awareness and the journey that so many of us are going up through collectively right now, especially during this time of COVID, that we're still living in this period of unsurety or uncertainty. And just to know that, again, that, we're not alone. Yeah. So we sent the information about Danielle, how to get in contact with her, about her delicious products, about her coaching services. And of course, Jordan shared his information as well. So guys, don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to talk to somebody, to share with somebody, to ask questions, to do the initial Google search, but don't take that as gospel. Take that back to your GP and then possibly to a psychologist or a psychiatrist. But just don't be afraid to speak about it. Let's eliminate the stigma that has surrounded mental health for so long, and just be open about it, right? Where a lot of us are sharing the same symptoms together right now, and we all want to be well.
Yes.
So thanks again for joining us for another episode of Emerge Detour Essentials Live. We are here every Wednesday at 8 p.m. with a special guest sharing something insightful, something that we hope will impact and inspire. If you are joining for the first time, visit our YouTube channel where you can watch all 3 former seasons, as well as our episode last week, which was our first episode in Detour Essentials Season 4. We have another amazing guest coming up next week, Wednesday, which we'll share on our Instagram page. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, tell lots of friends about this episode if you think this is something that they will benefit from or learn something from. So thanks again for joining us, guys. For those joining for the first time, welcome, and we hope to see you again next week, Wednesday.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.